Hello, this is a top tips session on preparing for interviews. My name's Gillian Bain, GCAS Project Manager and part of the GCAS team. Firstly, let's think about the differences of the different types of interviews. So many companies want the opportunity to meet you in person. You may meet with one person, for example, a key manager for the job, but it's likely that there will be two or more interviewers to ensure impartiality in the decision making. You're likely to be facing the interviewers from across a desk in a formal setting, or may have a more relaxed setting, depending on the company. Digital or online interviews are cheap, flexible, can be quicker sometimes than face-to-face, and offer increased opportunities for diversity and inclusion. You might log into the recruiter's digital platform or widely used software such as Zoom and Teams to answer pre-recorded questions within a time frame, or have a live interview at a predetermined time. Voice calls may also be arranged via these digital channels. Check the vacancy details for information about when to expect an invite to interview. Check your email and junk folders daily, as the link to the invitation to interview may end up there. There's often a tight turnaround between the invitation being sent and the deadline, so don't miss out on an opportunity. Prepare. Preparation is not about ensuring your responses are worded perfectly or that they're rehearsed, but ensuring you have considered two key questions: why them and why me? So research the organisation, use social media as well as their website and recent press releases so you can speak confidently about the company and how it stands out from its competitors. The STAR technique, situation, task, action, result, emphasises your contributions in response to competency questions. Check if the interview will be strengths or competency based or a combination of both. Review the interview invite and the job description person specification before contacting the recruiter to ask. Glassdoor often offers insights into past candidate interview experiences as well, which can help you to prepare. If the interview is live, prepare questions for the interviewers. Show your interest in the role. So, for example, what do you enjoy about your job? Can you tell me more about the day-to-day responsibilities of the role? Or where do you think the company is headed in the next 5 years? You can ask around 4 or 5 open questions, but avoid asking about salary, holiday allowance, and working hours, as these are negotiated once you've been offered a position and not before. So consider the types of questions. So there are four broad kind of categories of questions that you might be asked to interview. So first category is strengths, where you might be asked to talk about your proudest achievement in an extracurricular activity, interest, or hobby. When would your friends and family say you're at your happiest? Competency. So describe a time when you've worked with someone you didn't get on with. Tell me about a time when you came up with a good idea to solve a problem you faced. Then there are technical questions, where you'll be asked to explain your technical knowledge which is relevant to the role. And lastly, behavioural questions. So what would you do if a client or a customer or a colleague gets in touch to say that they're not happy with the work that you've done for them? Practice to build confidence. Build your confidence. The employer does not expect you to be perfect, but you can improve by preparing. So keep in mind, for an in-person interview, ask a trusted friend or family member to practice asking you questions, or practice explaining your answers for different competencies. Think about if these are the best examples. In a digital interview, you'll be able to see yourself on screen. So if you feel uncomfortable, you usually have the option to switch off or blur the view of yourself. There's usually a timer at the top of the screen next to the question. An optimum amount of time to answer a question is 1 minute 30 seconds. Recruiters want you to answer the strength or competency, demonstrate effective time management, and comfortably answer naturally in front of the screen. Again, you can practice by asking a friend or family member to record you introducing yourself or answering a question. This way you'll be able to note if you're speaking too quickly, making eye contact with the camera, your body language, voice pitch, and by doing so will allow you to adjust before the actual interview. If practicing hasn't helped you improve your confidence so far, then try these other things out. So view the interview as a conversation. Connect. You're working out whether this role and company is right for you too. And remember that your interviewer is trying to get the best out of you. Play to your strengths. If your best examples that you can talk about happily are from your extracurriculars and hobbies, then use them. Focus on your well-being. So eat well, plan plenty of time for a good night of rest. Don't be tempted to spend the hour before the interview cramming. And try something fun. Listen to a favourite song, watch something funny, or have a conversation with a friend. Think. Tone, pace, body language. So getting some fresh air before an interview is a great way to clear your head and focus you for the task ahead. Deep breathing is also helpful to calm nerves, breathing in through your nose and out through your mouth. Make sure that you warm up your voice. Speak to a friend, to the mirror, to a pet. You'll get more air into your lungs and speak clearly if you sit up or stand up where possible. Avoid slouching or looking too casual. Convey respect by dressing professionally, just as you would for an in-person interview if you're online on an Zoom or Teams. Don't interrupt the interviewer. Sometimes there can be a video delay if it's an online call. And similarly, if you're in face-to-face, give some space and some time for the person to finish speaking. Silences are positive. Give yourself time to think. There's absolutely no need to rush. Smile. Even when you're on a phone call, smiling changes your tone of voice. If you're prone to nerves, be conscious of how this impacts you. So take regular pauses to take stock of whether this has impacted how quickly you're speaking. Noticing it is the first step, and you can practice slowing down in your preparation. Try to avoid speaking in a monotone if you can. Vary the pitch and tone of your voice if you can to engage your listener. And lastly, try to avoid fidgeting, as this can affect the quality of the audio and be distracting. Please also consider requesting an adjustment if you have a medical condition, which affects your ability to maintain eye contact, show enthusiasm, or avoid fidgeting, etc. Persevere. So remember, the recruiter hopes to understand what you'll bring to the role and to see your authentic self. So they're not looking for a perfect candidate. Be confident in what you have to offer. You've been invited to interview already, and they are interested in you. Making mistakes is common, so don't focus on it. Move forward. You can demonstrate your resilience and how you deal with setbacks by carrying on. Aim to fully answer the question using the time you have available, but don't dwell on using the whole time allocation, particularly in an online interview. Recruiters often give timings as an indication of how long they think you're going to need to answer a question. In a live interview, ask the person to repeat or clarify the question if you need to. It's much better to ask the interviewer to repeat the question than to go down the wrong track with your answer. Now, with even the best preparation, unforeseen circumstances can happen. If you're going to an in-person interview and there's a problem in trying to find the location, or the bus breaks down, or there's a problem with the train, let the recruiter know. Give them a phone call and make sure you have their number to hand. Similarly, if you are on a digital interview and the internet cuts out, then again, send an email to the recruiter and ask for a reset of the video link, or call the interviewer to let them know what's happened. If you're doing a digital or online interview, make sure that you organise your background. Aim to have a plain background, but if this is not available in your space, ensure the background is tidy and that you're aware of what can be seen in the frame. Choose a blurred background in your settings if you're unable to find a suitable space. Let your family, flatmates, partner know that you have an interview so that they can deal with any deliveries or calls and that they know to give you privacy and quiet. If you have a pet or children, arrange for someone to look after them so that you can concentrate. Don't try to fit an interview in between classes, on public transport, etc. This is a formal part of the recruitment process. Avoid areas where there could be announcements or inappropriate backgrounds like a train station. Lighting will help to improve your confidence, so test out different options. And looking into the webcam will simulate an in-person experience and appear that you're making eye contact. The image in this slide is a screenshot of Professor Robert Kelly, who was interviewed at home in March 2017 on the BBC's World News programme. He used his study at home on many occasions for doing such interviews, making sure he'd always locked the door of his study. But on this occasion he forgot. And as he was speaking, his children entered the room, and despite his best efforts to stay focused, he was immediately distracted. This video has been viewed more than 1 million times on the BBC Facebook pages, and his interview clip went viral worldwide, earning him the name BBC Dad. There have been multiple more examples of this during lockdowns, while office-based staff worked from home, so just be prepared. You can prepare notes for any type of interview, and particularly online, but don't read them out verbatim or rustle them near the microphone. A photo next to the camera can remind you to look at it and smile. And put a clock where you can easily see it so you're aware of how long you've got left. This image on the screen is what an assessor can see during a sort of pre-recorded digital interview. So multiple assessors might be present and the members of the interview panel might differ. So just be aware that they're looking at the rating of each question and who their candidates are being grouped with. Consider your appearance. So a professional outfit will help you to get into the right mindset for the approaching task, even if the recruiter won't see it if it's a telephone interview. So pick an outfit you feel confident and comfortable in, and test out how you appear on screen if appropriate. Try to avoid wearing distracting accessories which are likely to make a noise. And if you have long hair, consider tying it back so that your face is fully visible. So plan how to get there or how to set up your technology. If it's an in-person interview, build in extra time for travel problems and to relax and read over any notes before you start. If it's a video interview, test your camera and your microphone settings, ensure your speakers aren't muted, close any unnecessary web browser tabs and applications, test your Wi-Fi signal, organise your background, put a photo next to the camera to remind you to look at it, test your lighting, think about where your webcam is, and try and make sure you're not going to have any interruptions. Switch off things like notifications on your phone or on your computer because they can be heard in a digital interview. Your name and your avatar should be appropriate and professional. And close background tabs and applications which could distract you, make a noise or obscure the interview. They can also slow down the speed of your internet. If it's a phone interview, make sure your phone is fully charged, test your signal in the place you intend to take the call, and set notifications to do not disturb. Is anything going to be unfamiliar? What can you do to limit its impact? And what is your plan B? So make sure that you have the contact details of the employer and recruiter to hand, just in case you run into any difficulties on the day. So reflect after the interview. So have a think about the types of questions that you were asked. And it's a really good thing to get into the practice of reflecting because it's going to help you acknowledge your strength as well as identifying areas for improvement. So for example, where you ask competency-based questions. Now preparation is key, and these kind of questions start with tell me about a time when or describe a situation Give an example of a situation where. These questions test the skills the employer is looking for. So, for example, communication, teamwork, adaptability. The questions could be strength-based. So these highlight positives. So what do you enjoy doing? What energises you? What are you good at? Employers that use these questions are wide and varied, but some examples are Aviva, Unilever, Royal Mail. Some of the questions can be predictable, such as, tell me a bit about yourself, and why did you apply for this role? And then you've got behavioural questions, questions that test how you would deal with situations that may occur in the workplace. So for example, how would you resolve a disagreement with another colleague? Think about what went well. Which questions did you feel most confident to answer? Are there any gaps in your skills that you would like to work on? What would you do differently next time? And remember, always ask for feedback from the employer. Use the GCAS online resources. So through the on-programme section of the GCAS website, you have access to a wide range of resources, and some of those are listed above. You've also got access to all this information 24/7, and it's a really good starting point. If you would like more personalised support, you can also contact the GCAS team directly at gcas@ed.ac.uk. So finally, to summarise, when preparing for interviews, make sure you know the difference and the type of interview you're being asked to attend. Make sure you prepare. Consider the types of questions, so competency, strengths, behavioural or technical. Practice to build confidence. Think, tone, pace, body language. Persevere if things go wrong. Make sure to organise your background. Consider your appearance. Plan how to get there or set up your technology. Reflect after the interview. And lastly, be sure to use the GCAS online resources. Thank you.